Hello everyone, how are you? Miss Nada with you. Let's start our session today with lesson 2, graphic representation of moving in a straight line. Okay, what's meant by graph? In this lesson, we will draw a graph. What's meant by graph? A graph means we will draw two axes, x axis and y axis. تمام? In our lesson, we will draw a graph that represents in motion or moving in straight line. But we talk about motion in a straight line in lesson 1. We can describe the motion of some object around us as fast and some others are slow. So speed is the physical quantity that describe the motion of an object. And we have two factors necessary for description of motion or speed, which are a distance covered by moving body and a time taken by moving body. So in this lesson, we will draw a graph that represents a motion, and we will use a physical quantity that describe the motion, which is speed. For speed, we have two factors that are affecting on speed or necessary for description of a motion. Number one, a distance that's covered by moving body, and the time taken by moving body to cover this distance. Okay? Okay, let's try to represent the uniform speed. If you need to draw a graph, we need some data. Okay, so we will do an activity to make a table or to design a table that help us to make a graph. Okay, we have some tools like toy car, wooden board, ruler, stopwatch, and marker. Okay, let's try to do this activity. Number one, we will place a wooden board at a horizontal position and put two marks, A and P, to limit a known distance, as shown in the following figure. We will put a wooden board in a horizontal position, and we will put two marks, A and P, as shown in the figure. Then we will operate the car and calculate the time needed to cover this distance. And we will repeat the steps for many times. And we will put the results in a table like this. We will try it 4 times, and we will record the results in the table, the distance, but the distance in meter, the time in second. So we will use the distance and the time to calculate the speed. Speed equal a speed equal distance over a time. تمام؟ تاني, we will do an activity to make a graph. So we need the data. We will do an activity by using a toy car, stopwatch, ruler, stopwatch to measure to know the time needed to cover the distance, and the ruler to measure the distance covered by the moving car. Okay, and we will put the results in a table, and then we can calculate the speed. The distance equal speed equal distance over a time. Okay, number one. And for distance 0.4 over time 5 equals 0.08. تمام. Then we will use this table to draw a graph. تمام. We will draw a graph as a distance on y-axis and the time So we will use the data to make a graph. Distance and time graph. Distance, we We will put distance on the y-axis and time on x-axis and try to make a graph. The distance 0.4 والtime needed to cover this distance is 5. يبقى أنا هاجي عند الديستانس 0.4 والtime 5 seconds وأبدأ أحط البوينت بتاعتي. Number 2 عندي هنا distance 0.6 when the time is 7.5 يبقى 0.6 والtime 7.5 تمام. distance is 0.8 time 10 distance اهي 0.8 and the time equal 10 then the distance equal 1 the time equal 12.5 then we connect the all points together to make a graph. So we have so we will draw a graph اسمه ايه distance time graph. The distance on the y-axis with time on x-axis. يبقى the relation هنا أنا معايا لو بصيت أنا هشوف هنا distance over time لما calculate the speed هيبقى 0.8 هنا 0.8 هنا 0.8 و 0.8. أنا معايا هنا السبيد is إيه؟ is a regular speed. يبقى أنا دلوقتي رسمنا distance time graph the moving body with a regular speed. طيب represented by ايه؟ represented by a straight line passing through the origin point. تمام؟ يبقى so the relation distance of the graph distance time graph of an object that move with a regular speed is represented ظهر معايا بايه؟ معايا straight line passing through origin point. Why? ليه؟ Because by increasing distance what happened? The time increase. يعني distance is directly proportional to the time when the object move with a constant speed أو a regular speed. اوكي؟ يبقى تاني عملنا activity والاكتيفيتي استخدمنا الداتا وجبنا عملنا measuring distance in meter in time in second واستخدمتهم اجيب السبيد. equal distance over time. Then we will use the data to make a graph for distance time graph for a moving body with a regular speed. Okay, so the distance time graph for a regular speed is represented by straight line passing through the origin point. What's meant by origin points? The origin points mean an intersection point between the two axes, the y-axis and the x-axis. Okay? Right. But let's try to make another graph. طيب هاخد ايه هما الفيزيكال كوانتيتي دلوقتي؟ We will use the speed and the time. The speed is constant, regular speed 0.8 0.8 0.8 0.8. فأنا معايا السبيد هنا is 0.8 وهي regular speed so it doesn't change by passing time. Right. With time, when the time is in 5 seconds, the speed 0.8, 7.5, 0.8, 10, 0.8, 12, 0.8. By passing time, the speed is a constant. So let's try to make a graph called speed time graph for a moving body with a regular speed. Speed time graph معايا ظهر ايه؟ انا معايا ال 5 seconds كان speed 0.8 then 7.5 speed كان برضو 0.8 when the time is 10 seconds speed is 0.8 when the time is 12.5 seconds the speed is 0.8. So when we draw the graph speed time graph for a moving body the speed time graph for the moving body in straight line that move with a regular speed is represented by straight line parallel to the time axis. أنا على طول لما يبقى معايا straight line parallel to the time axis يبقى ال straight line ده constant أو ال speed هنا doesn't change. يعني إيه يا مس speed doesn't change؟ يعني ال speed is constant يعني يا مس regular speed. أوكي؟ يبقى speed time graph for the moving body that move with a regular speed is represented by straight line parallel to time axis. Why? Give reason. Because the speed remain constant. Speed remains constant by passing time. Okay, يبقى we took two graphs. Number one, distance time graph of an object that moves with a regular speed. Distance time graph for an object that moves with a regular speed represented by a straight line passing through origin point. طيب why؟ ليه؟ طلع معايا بالشكل ده. Because by increasing the distance, time increase. So the relation between a distance with time is distance is directly proportional to the time. تمام. Then we have another graph برضو for an object that moves with a regular speed. So speed time graph. The speed time graph for an object that moves with a regular speed is represented by the a straight line ماله parallel to the time axis. تمام. Give reason. Graph or speed time graph of an object that moves with a regular speed is represented by a straight line parallel to time axis because the speed remains constant by passing time. السبيد معايا اهي 0.08 by passing time. تمام. Okay. So we can conclude that the regular speed is represented relation distance time as straight line passing through origin points. Why? Because the distance is directly proportional to the time when the object moves with a constant speed. يبقى أنا على طول أول ما أشوف distance time يبقى أنا دلوقتي معايا speed. حلو. straight line يبقى regular speed. تمام. Another graph speed time graph. speed time graph هو معايا straight line parallel to the time axis. أول ما أشوف straight line parallel يبقى ده constant يعني doesn't change. constant speeds يبقى what's meant by constant speed يعني speed doesn't change. So the body is moving with a regular speed. يبقى speed time graph of a regular motion is represented by straight line parallel to the time axis. The reason? Because the speed remains constant by passing time. Right. Let's try to make another graph for distance and time graph for the body at rest. طيب احنا قلنا أول ما أشوف straight line parallel to the time axis يبقى أنا معايا ال straight line ده أنا هسميه إيه؟ أنا هسميه constant. constant ايه؟ constant distance يعني ايه؟ distance doesn't change. امتى distance doesn't change؟ when the body is at rest. Okay؟ يبقى distance time graph of an object at rest represented by a straight line parallel to the time axis. طب ليه مس why physicists use mathematical relation like tables and graphs. ليه بنستخدم الجرافs and tables? Number one, we draw a graph to know that a physicist use a mathematical relation like graphs and table. Number one, to predict the relation between certain physical quantities. يعني ايه مثلا؟ يعني انا دلوقتي رسمت جراف اسمه ايه؟ اسمه distance time graph. When we draw this graph, we know the relation between the distance and time. The distance is directly proportional to the time. By increasing the distance, the time increase. يبقى number one, we give reason. The physicists or scientists use mathematical relations like graphs and tables Number one, to predict the relation between certain physical quantities like distance to time. Number one. Number two, to understand practical results like we do an activity. عملنا الاكتيفيتي ده استخدمنا table and we put the data in the table and we use a table to make a graph to find the relation between the physical quantity, distance, and time. So we understand the practical result by using the table and graph. Number two, to understand the practical results. Number three, to describe the physical phenomena in an easier way. يعني ايه؟ يعني على طول شايفة جراف اسمه distance time graph. اول ما اشوف distance time يبقى انا معايا speed straight line يبقى regular speed يبقى انا خلاص على طول من اول ما اشوف الجراف هعرف ان انا عندي هنا body moving with a regular speed. Physicists use mathematical relations like graphs and tables. Why? Number one, to predict the relation between certain physical quantities زي ما عملنا distance with time or speed with time. Number two, to understand the practical results. Number three, to describe the physical phenomena in an easier way. Okay, let's try to solve some problems. Okay, problem number one. The opposite graph represents the motion of a body. طيب نبص على الجراف كده مع بعض. أنا معايا جراف اسمه distance time graph. يبقى أنا معايا جراف عن السبيد. تمام. distance time ومعايا straight line يبقى distance time يبقى speed straight line يبقى regular speed. طب يا مس ايه رأيك لو انا معايا برضو graph distance and time يبقى معايا speed but we have a curved line or curved line like this يبقى distance time graph يبقى ده speed وده كمان speed but the curved line ده means ان انا عندي non-uniform speed او irregular speed يبقى على طول distance time speed وابص معايا curved line يبقى ده non-uniform speed or irregular speed. تمام. طب يا مس انا معايا straight line passing through the origin point يبقى انا معايا هنا ايه regular speed. يبقى انا على طول هبص على الجراف معايا distance ومعايا time يبقى speed kind of speed. طب شايفه السبيد ماله شايفه اللاين ايه شايفه اللاين straight line يبقى ال kind of this speed is a regular speed. Number one, mention the kind of the speed of this body and giving reason. As a body move with a uniform speed. Why? Because the distance time graph is represented by a straight line passing through origin points. Why? Because the distance is directly proportional with time. Okay. Number two, calculate the speed of this body. ازاي يا مس اجيب السبيد؟ In lesson 1 the speed equal ايه؟ speed equal distance over الايه؟ over time. اوكي طيب اي distance يا مس؟ بس على التايم تحت يبقى الديستانس مثلا 20 تايم كان كام؟ 1 يبقى 20 over 1 يبقى السبيد equal 20 meter per second. Okay طيب let's try another point. When the distance is 40 time can 2 seconds يبقى 40 over 2 يبقى 20 meter per second. Okay 60 time can 3 يبقى 60 over 3 يبقى 60 over 3 يبقى كام 20 meter per second فده regular speed اهو 20 meter per second 20 meter per second 20 meter per second يبقى انا هجيب السبيد من اي point. The speed equal distance over a over a time equal 20 meter per second. Number 3, calculate the distance covered by this body after 3 seconds and 10 seconds. 3 seconds انا ممكن اجيبها من الجراف على طول دايركت. ازاي؟ انا معايا التايم اكسس اهو بص عليه معايا 1 second 2 seconds ادي 3 seconds. time is 3 seconds. الديستانس كانت كام؟ الديستانس equal 60 متر. اوكي، يبقى انا عندي دلوقتي after 3 seconds the distance is 60 meter as shown in the graph. طيب يا مس، عايزين برضو calculate the distance covered by the body after 10 seconds. طيب اعرف اجيبها من الجراف؟ لا، معايا التايم هنا لحد كام؟ لحد 5 seconds. طب ازاي اجيب الديستانس after 10 seconds؟ عادي جدا، انا جايبه السبيد اللي هي regular speed اللي هي كام؟ اللي هي 20. انا معايا السبيد بكام؟ ب 20. تمام. طيب عايز ايه؟ عايز الديستانس. امتى؟ لما تايم كام؟ ب 10 seconds. يبقى انا معايا السبيد equal 20 والتايم equal 10. نعمل الماجيك تراينجل بتاعنا، السبيد equal الديستانس over التايم. انا عايزه اجيب الديستانس، اجيبها ازاي؟ الديستانس equal السبيد تايمز التايم. طيب السبيد كانت كام اصلا؟ هي ريجولار سبيد بس هي كانت ثابته معانا اللي هي كام؟ اللي هي 20. تمام. يبقى 20 تايمز كام؟ التايم معايا هنا بكام؟ التايم انا عايزه اجيب التايم لما after 10 سكند. يبقى 20 تايمز 10 equal كام؟ equal 200 meters. اوكي. Number 2. The opposite table represents the distance covered by a moving body through different time intervals. فمعايا هنا table distance per meter, the time is second, when the distance 5, after 1 second 10, 2 second 15, after 3 second 20, after 4 second 25, after 5 second. وبيقول لي represent the relation graphically. ازاي هرسم جراف؟ عادي جدا، نبدأ نرسم جراف. الديستانس على طول على الواي اكسس، انا هرسم اكسس واي اكسس والتايم على الاكس اكسس. اوكي، الديستانس معايا بالمتر والتايم بالسكند، يبقى السبيد هتيجي معايا بالمتر بير سكند. اوكي، الديستانس، وابدا انا اشوف ازاي ارسم جراف. معايا الديستانس 5 10 15 20 25. ابدا احط النمبرز بتاعتي على الاكسس 5 10 15 20 25. التايم after 1 second 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5. So we will use the data in the table to make a graph. When the distance is 5, when the time is in 1 second, time 1 second, the distance can 5. After 2 seconds, the distance is 10. After 3 seconds, the distance is 15. After 4 seconds, the distance can 20. After 5 seconds, the distance can 25. Then we will draw a straight line passing through origin point. يبقى انا على طول طلع معايا الجراف شكله عامل ازاي؟ اسمه ايه اصلا؟ اسمه distance time. distance time graph. يبقى speed straight line passing through the origin point. يبقى انا معايا هنا ايه؟ معايا هنا a regular speed. اوكي. طيب يبقى احنا كده عملنا relation representing the relation graphically and we can calculate the graph from speed. انا ممكن اجيب السبيد من التيبل او ممكن اجيبه من الجراف. ازاي اجيبه من التيبل يا مس؟ عادي، speed equal ايه؟ speed equal distance over time. يبقى 5 divided 1 equal 5. 10 divided 2 is 5. 15 3 5 20 4 5. يبقى انا معايا السبيد، انا جبتها من التيبل على طول اهي بكام؟ 5 متر بير سكند. طيب عايزه اجيب او اعمل calculation للسبيد from the graph. ازاي؟ انا عندي مس اي distance والتايم بتاعها. when the distance is 5 التايم كان كام؟ 1. يبقى 5 over 1 equal 5. 10 divided 2 5. 15 divided 3 5. 20 divided 4 برضه 5. 25 divided 5 equal 5. يبقى انا معايا هنا ايه؟ معايا هنا regular speed. The speed doesn't change equal 5 meter per second. Then mention the kind of the speed and giving reason. يبقى كده السبيد اسمها ايه؟ regular speed. Give reason. Because the distance time graph is represented by a straight line passing through the origin point. طب تعالى كده نجيب الريشيو between the distance والtime. الريشيو between the distance والtime equal كام؟ 5. برضه هنا 5 وهنا 5 وهنا 5. So the ratio between the distance with time is constant. امتى الريشيو between the distance with time is constant? When the body moves with a regular speed. Okay, problem number 3. The opposite graph represents a bike motion through 5 hours. بص بقى معايا الجراف كده. انا معايا هنا ايه؟ معايا هنا distance ومعايا هنا time graph. طيب التايم مشي قد ايه؟ ماشي يا مس لحد 5 hours. يبقى الموشن في البايك through 5 hours. ده التوتال تايم بتاعي وصل لحد كام؟ 5. طيب the body moves from point A to point B. cover distance قد ايه مس؟ cover distance 20. اوكي وبعدين ايه اللي حصل؟ from point B to point C هو قد ايه بقى؟ كام hour يا مس؟ من 2 hours ل 4 hours. البيريود دي قد ايه؟ 2 hours. ماله؟ الديستانس يا مس doesn't change. فضلت عند كام؟ فضلت عند 20. تمام وبعدين after 4 hours اللي حصل؟ after 4 hours the distance بدأت يحصل لها ايه؟ يحصل لها increasing لحد ما وصلت لكام؟ ل 50. طيب ده through 5 hours. كده قرينا الجراف كده. انا ببص على الجراف تاني. انا معايا distance time graph. distance بالكيلومتر والتايم بالhours. اوكي البودي starts its movement from A. اوكي then to B. طيب ابص كده اشوف الديستانس قد ايه when he reached point P. كان هو cover a distance 20 كيلومتر. طيب في قد ايه بس تايم كام؟ في 2 hours. then البودي فضل من P ل C. الديستانس is constant 20 كيلومتر من P ل C. distance is constant for 2 hours كمان. then from C ل D البودي start to move and the distance start to increasing in 1 hour. طيب هو عايز ايه بقى؟ calculate the average speed of the bike during the trip. طيب خدنا what's meant by average speed lesson 1. يمس average speed total distance over total time. شوف كده ايه distance total distance اللي خدها كام؟ هو مشي من A ل B من B ل C اهو ومعايا من C ل D. يبقى اخر بوينت وصل لها على الديستانس كانت كام؟ الديستانس كانت 50. انا معايا التوتال ديستانس ايكوال كام؟ 50. طيب ده خد ال 50 كيلومتر دول كان through A through L through 5 hours. ويبقى التوتال تايم معايا هو كام؟ equal 5. يبقى 50 over ال 5 equal 10. 10 ايه؟ ناخد بالنا من measuring unit كيلو متر per hour. يبقى number 1 خلاص خلصنا منها. calculate the average speed of the bike during the trip. ال average speed total distance على total time. total distance equal 50. التوتال time equal 5 يبقى 10 كيلومتر per hour. Okay. What is the period in which the car stops؟ أنهي period؟ AB ولا PC ولا CD؟ احنا أول ما وصلنا على الجراف لأن هو مشي من A ل B خد قد إيه في الديستانس؟ خد 20 كيلومتر through 2 hours. then الديستانس يا مس فضلت still constant أو remains constant in PC. فضلت 20 كيلومتر in PC. يبقى ال PC دي هي ال period during which the bike move at a regular speed. يعني أنا دلوقتي